Hi, hello everyone. Good evening. How is your Sunday? And we meet again with me, Putri, in 100% stay at home. It is actually a weekly event from 100% Manusia Film Festival that we have been holding since the pandemic starts actually. So tonight we are going to talk with Magdalena Banasik, a representative from Emapil. Emapil is actually film sales that has already been in a record for a long time to sell films with focus on human rights. Let's see if
Hello.
Hi, hello. How are
Hello,
you?
Putri. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Where are you? I couldn't see your
I'm at
face.
home actually. I'm at home.
Oh, you're at home.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, now I can see you. Because before it was like pixelated, so
Okay. Okay.
that is good.
Yeah. I think we have a bit of a time lag, but I hear you well and I see you very well. It's just this couple of seconds of a difference, but I think we'll be fine.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, I can hear you well too. So
Very good.
it's good to see you. It's just probably there is actually a signal problem. So your visual and mine is actually a kind of a freezing,
Okay. Let me try to do one thing.
right?
Maybe it helps.
Okay. And for everyone that's joining us, do let us know if the visual and the sounds are okay.
Now,
Do you
is
want to
it better?
go? Yeah, it's actually breaking your voice and also the visual. Do you want to go out first and then you join in again and then I accepted your request again? How?
Sure, sure. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Great, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay. Right, so we're just going to do again because there was actually, there it is. We had a bit of problem before.
Hello again.
Hello.
Any better?
Yes, I think that's better.
Very good. Very good.
Good. How are you doing?
Uh, Not bad, not bad. We're in Berlin, just entering another yet mild lockdown. So yeah, we're getting ready for winter.
Okay, so you are in Berlin at the moment, not back in
Yes.
Warsaw, right?
No, I'm in Berlin. During the whole lockdown, I was actually here. During the summer, when the situation was a little bit better, I used that opportunity to go home and visit family. But then I went back to Berlin. And how are you? How is
Okay.
everything on your side?
We're good. We're good. We're basically 3 weeks away from our festival in
Yeah.
December. So so everything is, a little bit of crazy
Of
hectic,
course.
rushing, and crazy thing. but
Yeah, yeah.
but we're good. We're good. I mean, at the moment, we are still in the lockdown. It's actually a semi kind of lockdown,
Mm-hmm.
and since there's no there's well there I think like a small cinemas open 2 weeks ago, but the biggest cinema is not yet open. So and cultural centers are not yet open. That's why we decided to shift the festival to an online one in
Of course.
December. So yeah.
Yes, well, makes perfect sense. That's exactly what I'm seeing now, um, all over the world. It's actually quite interesting because dealing with festivals, I kind of have a first-hand information about the pandemic all over the world because the
Yes.
cinemas and festivals are the first one which are very quickly reacting to the change of the situation, either the festival postponing or shifting online. The moment any kind of a new regulation kicks in, the festivals are super quick to react. And then I'm
Yeah.
also super quick to react because I need to provide different materials if the festival is going online and so on, so on. So thanks to this job, I do feel like I'm in the center of the action now.
Yes, yes. So basically, the pandemic has changed all of the perspective of all the people who work in the film industry all around the world. Not
Totally,
only, yeah,
totally.
not only just the filmmaker or the film test sales, but also like everyone involved, publicists, film festival
Everyone.
organizer. Yes.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And I remember then when like in Europe it started more or less, well, just after EFM, you remember that was the last time we met. So after
Yes.
EFM, right? It feels now like in a different
Yes.
world. Um, and after EFM, and then I remember this was the whole March. The situation was getting worse and worse. The restrictions were being implemented, and the whole film world froze. Like for 1 month,
Yes.
there was nothing. Like nobody was answering emails. Festivals were just canceling one after another, and there was like really grave silence in my inbox.
Yes. Yes.
And
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
then slowly, people started to adapt to the new situation, come up with ideas how to deal with it. And I think we are quite lucky when it comes to working in film industry because I think we are really used to being flexible. And you're thinking outside of the box because it's a quite demanding industry. So
Yeah.
we are very often super quick to adapt to the changing situation. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think this is what happens also this time.
Yeah, I mean, like when the last time I met you at the European Film Market in February, I never thought that we would arrive to this point. Like we were
Right,
discussing about films to be screened offline and having the
right.
festival as a regular stuff. Like we would just thought, oh, this thing will not hit us. But
Exactly.
8 months, 8 months later, here we are.
Yeah,
No fact, no vaccine yet. So
it's incredible. It's like I found myself missing markets so much. Like markets are great, but it's always super heavy work, right? So actually, the most happy we are when they're over. And now I'm really missing. I really miss calm. I really miss not being in the marché, working for 12 hours per day, running,
yes.
drinking coffees one after another, everything being so hectic. I miss that, and the industry and the meeting with people. Yeah,
Yes, yes, me too. I miss that too, like all the hustle bustle during the film market and
exactly.
in over the
Exactly.
world. Even though at that time we were just like, oh my God, let's just finish all the meetings, let's just go to the parties and then go back home.
And
But
sleep.
now and sleep, yes. But now it's not happening. Well, I think we should be very careful of what we're wishing for the next time.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, but thank you so much actually for participating at this event, 100% stay at home. So this time we would like to actually talk to you as a representative from the M Appeal, like one of
Mhm.
the biggest film sales that also focusing on the films with human rights issue. And maybe you can tell the audience about you and what you do and in
Sure.
M Appeal.
Mhm. Yes, yes. So Appeal is actually a boutique sales agent. The company has been established already some time ago, 2008. But what it actually means, we are boutique because we are actually a small company when it comes to a catalog. We have hardly curated catalog. Every year we pick up 7, 8 titles only. So we do not focus, well, we definitely focus on the quality and not the quantity. And to briefly explain what a sales agent is, sales agent is an entity between the producer and all the means of distribution. So we work the following way: we acquire films directly from producers, um, quite often quite early. I mean, most of the time we pick up a film when it's not finished yet, when it's in post production. We do have cases where we picked up the title way earlier, even on the script level, but this is less often. This is usually with the directors we already worked before, because also we focus on creating a relationship with directors. We try to work with them on more than just one film. So we pick up a film when it's still not ready yet, and then we do the sales all over the world. It's usually my job, who is dealing with the film as the first person from the company, because I'm taking care of festivals, which is most of the cases the first mean of exploitation of the film. So even before it's finished, I'm already in touch with the director, with the producer. I already create a strategy, the festival strategy for the film, and then we step by step work on implementing it. I submit the film to festivals. I'm in the discussions and so on, so on. Maybe few lines more about the catalog, because the reason why we're talking also is that, as you mentioned, and that's why we work every year with your festival, is because we have in our catalog every year at least few titles which are with which themes focus on human rights. And it's not something, let's say, that was like a super conscious decision from the very beginning, but it's more because we have a very personal approach to the films. So we all very often choose topics which simply resonate with us. And the Maren Kroijman, the founder of the company, she says that she always believed that a film above all other mediums. She thinks that film is the one which can best change and influence people's values.
Yes.
So and as a content-driven company, that's simply the stories we always resonate to. Because we take a decision about acquiring film as a team. We do have my colleague who is working mainly with acquisition, but once we have a title which, let's say, ticks our boxes, and it's something that we really would like to have in the catalog, then we all, of course, watch it, we all discuss, and we all take a decision, because every single of us will have to work with this film. So we need to connect all with the specific title.
Right. So it means that you have a kind of specific team where all of the people in the team is basically acquire a title, or how does it work basically?
We have we are only, for the moment, we are only 7 people. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, there is my colleague who is doing acquisitions. So he's the
Okay.
one out there in the world scouting for projects. The way he works is, like, let's say, two-folded. He, on one side, he's always in touch with producers or directors, but on the
Mm-hmm.
other side, he also attends, of course, production markets or work in
Mm-hmm.
progress markets, where he can
Yes.
see what's currently being made. And that's how he's scouting for new projects. The moment we identify a project which is potentially interesting for us, um, he gets in touch, he starts the discussion, starts the
Mm-hmm.
negotiations, and then everything
Mm-hmm.
goes well, we pick up a phone. Then it's usually me, festival person, who is being involved very quickly, because that would be, as I said, the first mean of exploitation. But at the same time, my colleagues who are doing sales are already
Mm-hmm.
working on packaging the phone to start
Mm-hmm.
presenting it to the buyers.
Okay. So then after that, you will take over. This also does Maren also have some kind of saying on the selection of the films?
Of
So she
course,
has
Maren,
also,
yes.
okay.
Maren has a, well, as the managing director of the company, we have a
Mm-hmm.
we have a quite flat hierarchy. We are more like a
Yes.
one team where there are specific tasks. But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to strategic decisions, we take them as a team. But of course,
Mm-hmm.
Maren has the final word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what is actually the main foundation? Like what is it? What inspires Maren and maybe Thorsten to build Emma Pill?
Thorsten was not involved so much back then.
Okay.
The beginning
Okay.
was just, it was Maren. Thorsten
Yeah.
was just doing festivals with me before. For
Ah.
Maren, I think for a long time though. I think he was doing
Yeah.
festivals for 5 years. Maren founded the company pretty much based on the belief she has that I just mentioned, that she always believed that film is a very powerful tool that can influence people all over the world. So, with this idea in mind,
Mm-hmm.
she started the company. Also, what at the beginning she noticed was that
Mm-hmm.
there was a niche on the market,
Yeah.
meaning there was quite a big demand for LGBT titles,
Mm-hmm.
and there was actually not many companies who would provide this kind of a content. So
Yes.
that's something, but this is more of a on a business side, so to say, because of course there are films tackling the topic of gender as also quite of interest for us. But then taking this interest on the business side, it really made sense because that was a niche back then. And Maren
Mm.
explored that niche. She had she created. We always have every year in our catalog an LGBT title, and that
Mm-hmm.
helped her also to explore that niche.
Yeah. And then also during like the growth of the M appeal itself, not only focusing on the LGBT titles, you said that also it's also other genders like women issues, even politicals,
Exactly.
freedom of speech, and then yes, like what you have now, like I think the humorist also in
Humorous,
August.
yes. Censorship
Yes,
versus freedom of speech, yes.
yes, and also like for example, the one that won Teddy Award,
Hurt
No Hard
feelings.
Feelings. It's actually yes, it's actually a political view from the younger generation, immigrant
Yes,
in Germany. Yeah, so that's like I think like not only just focusing on the gender or LGBT, but also you brought a lot of themes in the human rights.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Good that you mentioned No Hard Feelings, because No Hard Feelings is actually a title that could very well represent our catalog, because it's very multi-layered.
Yes.
Sure, it can be treated as LGBT film. It can be treated as a love story, but at the same time is a film that catches something very, very current, that catches the question about identity. How in
Yes.
the current situation with migration, how, where does this identity is coming from? What is building your identity?
Mm-hmm.
So, and also, yes, many political topics when it comes to refugees, and how Germany is dealing with refugees,
Yes.
either the ones which came now or the first generation born of refugees' parents.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I saw that also you have like a lot of good a list of film like Cocoon, for example. It can
Mm,
that's also like a very for me it was very a touching film.
yes, it is. I like it as well. It's a very sweet, very touching film, indeed.
Yes, it is.
Like
Yes.
coming of age in in nowadays in the modern Berlin, in the center of
Yeah.
Berlin, in a place which is actually, it's very close to our office, the place where
Ah,
Cocoon is set. Yeah, it's like walking
really?
distance from our office. Yeah, 10 minutes maybe. It's called Tor, and
Ah, yeah, Cottbussertor, yes.
totally. And Compositor is a very specific, one of the very specific places in Berlin, because it's indeed a very much of a melting pot of cultures.
Yes.
And on one hand, you have a lot of like first generation born of migrant parents. At the other
Yeah.
side, you have a generation of born out of left activists who were during the
Mm,
70s and 80s super active, especially in this
yeah.
part of Berlin. So this mix of kids, it's quite incredible, and the story exactly shows coming of age of one girl, which is trying to find her identity in this
Yeah.
mix of cultures, identities.
Yes. Okay. And then how did you actually manage to get these films? Like, did you get involved since the very first you received the script? Like, or do you
Mhm.
have to go? Like you said before that your colleague is actually traveling around the world to get a film. Like, I saw there's like, yeah, like August, for example, or maybe Third Wife from Vietnam. You have it that I think from scouting all over the world. So how
Yes.
do you do this kind of selection?
It's it's actually, I don't think there is one like procedure on this specific. It's because it's like you just need to you just need to know. It's like collecting information, reading about
Mm,
projects, and we can talk
yeah.
about examples. So, for instance, both, I'm pretty sure, No Hard Feelings and Cocoon, those are two titles that we entered very early, already at the level of the script. And
Ah,
I
okay.
believe that with Cocoon, it was
Mm-hmm.
Maren who spotted Leonie, the director of Cocoon, already after
Yeah.
she made her first film. Because her
Okay.
first film, Looping, uh, premiered, it was still a school film, but it premiered in the Guadalajara in the Premio Maguey. And Maren back then noticed Leonie. She really liked her first film, and that's it. And she was okay. If you're working on something now, let's be in
Mm-hmm.
touch. We would love to read the script. We would love to see if we can take this collaboration um,
Mm-hmm.
for the whole film, and that's how we signed Cocoon very early, very early. But then on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
Agosto was picked up because, again, personal connections, because
Ah.
we know the French producers since already a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the French co-producer, and same when she mentioned to Maren that she's entered the co-production with Cuba and Costa Rica.
Yeah.
They're working on a title about the 90s crisis in Cuba and
Yes.
how Cubans were fleeing the country. And
Yeah.
well, it's also kind of a personal touch because I know that the history of Cuba for Maren is something of a personal interest. She
Mm.
she immediately realized the potential of the film, that it says something
Mm.
which traumatized the whole generation in the
Yes.
country, and it's not so well known. That's why she was very much interested in the film. And I can see now that this is a film that very strongly resonates with whole Latin America. Like, of course, all over the
Yes.
world as well, but in Latin America, because people still, they still remember what was going on. Obviously, the whole Cubans, the film is very popular in the US at the
Mm.
Latin film festivals in the US because the Cuban community, like for them, it's a super important film because there was almost no family back then who
Yes.
wouldn't have a family member who would escape at that time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think that that story resonates to everyone. So also in Indonesia for August itself, for the movie of
Mm,
Augusto. Yes. And then also,
exactly.
so yeah, so then basically there were like a kind of steps that you have to go through before you represent the films, before you
Yeah.
sell the film. Like you said before, you joining since the first time they show the script, from personal relationship that Maron has, and then
Mhm.
also from yeah, like for example, like Cuba, and maybe also from the result of scouting, like
Exactly.
probably, yeah, like probably the film The Third Wife, I think, or Working Women.
Uh, Third wife, that's a good question. I think third wife we picked up after a market, after some market.
Ah,
We
right.
didn't knew them before in person.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I was not with the company back then, so I don't know. I just remember the what Maren told me. I think we met them at the market.
I see.
Um,
Okay.
and we signed them before the film was, that was a risk. That was technically a risk because we signed them. It's a first time director, um, no record, and but Maren immediately saw the potential of the film,
Mm-hmm.
and they signed them, of course, before the premiere, and
Mm-hmm.
then the film went everywhere.
Ah, okay. So yeah, so there are a lot of opportunities for films to be sales around the world, and through festivals is also one of the way. I was just wondering because I
Mhm.
sorry.
No, no, no. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
I,
Continue.
okay. Now I was just wondering because I know that Emopil is also representing one of Indonesian film. What they don't talk about when they talk about love, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yes. How did you get how did you get to? I know the film was screened in the market too in Berlin. Did you also see it there, or how does it? Because
Oh,
that's also part of the Indonesian film that that resonates for human rights, as it's
hmm.
basically portrays about disabled.
True, true, true. But I'm totally sorry. Here, I really don't know the story because it's a film. It's an older title.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. That's
Tell
true.
me, it's an older
No,
title.
no,
Wait, I'm
no
checking
worries.
now. How when singing when da, 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 da. It was. I'm just trying to
I
find it
think
in our
it.
catalog. It was quite some many years ago.
Yes, I think it was like 7 years ago or five.
Got it.
Yes,
They don't talk when they talk about love. It's 2013, exactly.
yes.
I know that I believe we have, as far as I remember, we had a like working relation with either the producer or the director. We knew them
Yes.
before, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's probably how the collaboration started. But
Ah,
sorry, is this is it's already a title from some time ago, and because
yeah.
when it comes to festivals, I usually work with films for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's when
Okay.
the film is very actively traveling on the festivals. That's usually 2 years time. Then it goes to our back catalog, and
Mm-hmm.
it's usually then the festival which reaches out for the title. That's why, and I'm actually working with Matthew since 2 years, and that's why I only
Yes.
work few times with what they don't talk about when they talk about love.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's understandable because you have already actually explained previously about how you managed to get the films by scouting all over the world, by doing personal relationship, and also even since the very first time you received the script. Now, I just also move on to the next question. Is actually what is the challenge to screen or to sell this kind of film with specific genre, especially with the human rights issue where people usually always feel like, oh god, this is too heavy, or
Mm-hmm.
how do you manage to sell? What is it also part of your strategy to put the film, let's say, in the competition as in Panorama or Teddy Award? Is it also part of the strategy, or how do
Yes,
you
definitely,
sell them?
definitely. So, okay, so let me answer to your question on like two sides, because the first part of your question was um, how is it work? How does it work to sell a film dealing with human rights? So
Yes.
it's it's a tricky thing because yes, you really pointed it out very well that quite often those films can be quite heavy. And so
Yes.
this is what we do. We look actually. Do you remember our film Working Woman,
Mm,
the Israeli one? This
yeah.
film is actually a really good example of what we are looking for because the film, as a topic, it tells about the structural discrimination of women in the working environment, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's accessible, it's entertaining. So
Mm,
what we are looking for is a film which, let's say, like No Hard Feelings, has many levels. It needs to
mm,
be a title we can work internationally and which is
mm-hmm,
accessible at the same time,
mm-hmm,
kind of more audience oriented. Because then it's way easier for us to sell it globally. And we always work
mm-hmm.
globally. When we pick up a title, we need to assess its potential on a global scale. Um,
Okay.
so that's the one thing. We're looking for a mix in a title, which sure will tackle the topic we're interested in, but at the same time, it needs to be accessible. So just to understand that it cannot be this heaviness will not be there so direct. It still have a very heavy and important topic, but it needs to be entertaining. And the other side of the sales is what you already mentioned. Yes, the festival premiere. It's very important for sales to launch the film at a good established festival because it just already gives you the visibility. If we have a film at Toronto, for instance, like Agosto or The Third Wife started in Toronto, this
Yes.
is really great for us because not only it's wow, it's Toronto, but then also it means that it will be noticed by the film, by the press, by the industry magazines. And that's how the news will spread. The buyers will read about our film in the Variety
Mm,
or Stream Daily, and that already elevates the film to some level when it's recognized internationally. So that's why, exactly as you said, it's very important for us to position the film with a very strong world premiere.
So you get more exposure on the film itself and to boost up the film to be known by other film stakeholders.
Totally, exactly. That's
Yes.
that's the strategy.
Yes. And then also, what is the biggest challenge that you face so far in selling these specific human rights films?
Challenge. Well, there are lots of challenges, but I mean, but sometimes it's I don't like. Sometimes it might be that, for instance, we have a film which kind of divided our team. Well, okay, so it's a film again, layers, right? For one of the layers of the film was um, women's sexuality and the way it's sometimes oppressed by society. On another level, it could be packaged simply as erotic. And so that would be the selling point, but then the film also tells something very valuable about women in modern societies. So when selling these films, I realized that people very often did not resonate with the film the way we did. Like, for instance, my personal relation to the film was that I was seeing there a lot of let's say hidden meanings, and then I noticed that somebody coming from a different culture completely
Yes.
didn't get them. And I remember having many conversations about the ending of the film, which is quite open. And we would be interpreting, like a buyer from the US would have a completely different understanding of the ending of the film. So this could be this challenge that sometimes the films we sell can be received differently in different parts of the world, because we are, of course, influenced by our culture, by our society. So this sometimes is a challenge to find something that we really think will work globally, but then it turns out not to work globally. I don't know if my answer helps. Do you know what I mean? It's
No, and
yeah.
I understand what you mean. Like, for example, probably the film like Third Wife could work in Asia with the culture of polygamy and with the issues that it has been brought, or maybe like a working women. Because that's why we choose that film for to be screened in our festival last year, because the film resonates to us with the harassment, and then
Exactly.
towards women and how the women choose on how to react upon it. But
Mhm.
probably in another part of the world, let's say maybe in USA or in first world country, probably the film will not resonate because, like you said, it has an
Exactly.
open ending, so people will
Exactly.
react differently.
And that's a very good point. That's actually a very good point, because working women, well, I'm not going to point the countries, but there are countries in Europe in which we didn't manage to sell the film
Really?
because, yes, because the decision makers were males, very strongly in the culture of, like,
Oh wow.
they didn't see the problem in the film. They didn't get it. So that's why, and also, like, there are countries in Europe that the film did very few festivals, that we didn't do the
Yes.
sales, because for them, the decision makers, they didn't find the topic relatable.
Ah, okay. Well, that's really interesting. So it also depends on on the people who sit on the powerful chair.
Of course, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, well, in Indonesia, the film's actually working. So I mean, like it resonates a lot, and it has like one of the most audience in our festival, because after the film we can actually talk, and we usually in 100% and 100% Manusia Film Festival, we after all film we usually hold a kind of Q&A and a
Mhm.
kind of a small discussion to discuss about the issue. So during that film, there were like we invite a lot of people from the women activists and also from the institution and the government, and then they talk about the issues. So it is basically what we do in the festival to deliver the awareness of the issue on the films, and also to give
Mhm.
a safe space, yeah, a safe space for people to talk about it, even though sadly we don't until today our government does not have any protection towards women, but that's another issue. And yes, and then how about now? How about in this time of pandemic? What is a challenge to sell your films, and what is the outlet now?
So, Paul, it is well, the challenge is definitely to get them sold because um, because our films are strongly dependent. Most of our films are strongly dependent on theatrical distribution. So those are the films that need first a theatrical distribution to establish them within the country. And with the cinemas being closed and buyers not being able to release the films they already bought before, well, for obvious reasons, they stopped acquiring for some time. So that was super challenging for us because for a couple of months, we simply couldn't sell any film because we usually don't, we have maybe few titles before which we could sell directly to big VOD platforms, for instance, or to do only TV sales. We had
Yeah.
most of our films would be films which should go theatrical, then VOD, then home entertainment, DVD, TV, in that way. Um, so what COVID made us do is we're changing a little bit the focus in the catalog in a way of trying to find films which would not need to rely so strongly on theatrical, which could
Mm-hmm.
also go directly to platforms. So we just have to rethink our business model a little bit.
Okay, but do you also do like a kind of VOD kind of thing? Also, like because here films are also started to get released on the online platform.
Yes, yes, we do. But as I said, it really depends on films. We started to acquire more titles like that I go directly to VOD as
Okay.
well. And it is challenging. I think people had to rethink the way we're doing business because we could not network so properly this year. So that was also the thing we had to adjust on how do we scout for new projects now without the traveling, for instance. So my colleague doing acquisition, he's now constantly online on another Zoom meetings at another industry event, which takes place online um, only, not in reality, not as a physical event. Um, and for us, yes, that was it. So we had to change a little bit the catalog and
Mm.
maybe work for search for different contacts, um,
Mm-hmm.
find more direct contacts to platforms or to TVs, which we always did, but now we had to focus most on them.
I see. Okay. So you're trying to find also other alternative options for the
Pretty much.
films.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Do you see that this will continue to happen next year?
Really don't know. I mean, I think that, like, wow, it's a difficult moment to say. I think we will go back to cinemas
Mm.
because, like, people say that it's cinemas, it's something that is dying. Yeah, but not with every kind of a film. And now we can see after this year of all festivals going online, yes, that was the necessity, but people do miss physical events. Like, as you said, as you are doing at your film festival, people do want to go into one room, watch a film
Yes.
together, and have a discussion
Yes.
about it
Yes.
afterwards. So I don't think this will disappear. We just need to, have the vaccine and or whatever other measurements so that we can go back to the old way we were consuming, especially art house titles.
Yes, that's true. I mean, as much as we could do to shift the festival online, I still believe that it will never replace the experience
Mm,
of going to
no,
the film festival. Yes, with meeting your friends, queuing for the tickets, and then talk
exactly.
about the film afterwards. Yes,
Exactly. Come on, that's one of the best. Totally, that's one of the best feelings you have. That when you're queuing to enter the film, you're discussing the films you just saw, and then when you're leaving the cinema, you can like. It's the we are like people are the community
yes,
animals. We love this experience of going through something as a community, as a group. So
yeah, I agree with you.
yeah.
Yeah, so I hope that whoever scientists in the world who find the vaccine we can do it sooner, so that probably we can meet in Berlinale again.
Yes. I'm so much. I cannot imagine. Like, oh my God, I cannot imagine not having like Berlinale experience. It's
Exactly. Yeah.
it's been such a important point in my calendar every year since so many years, and I cannot imagine. I don't know, not being stuck in Martin Gropiusbau for 10 days every February. It's like I need it.
Yeah, me too. But I
Right?
hope that the EFM is, yeah. Is it going to be all online,
Um,
the EFM itself?
yes, it will be online.
Yeah.
It will be online. I mean, for the moment, the the plan is, as far as I remember, to like allow the industry representatives who can travel, which probably means within Europe, to come to
Yeah.
Berlin, and there will
Yes.
be a physical part to it, meaning like us as a Berlin-based company, we will have a booth, but we will be working. I think we will be working online and physical. So most of the meetings for with all the other representatives who couldn't come to Berlin, we're gonna have online. But then for the European industry, I think we also will be there physically in at Martin Gropius as well.
Ah, okay. All right. So yeah, I don't know whether Indonesia will be allowed to to enter Berlin by that time. Yes, crossing finger for that too.
Crossing fingers.
I mean, yes, I mean, I never thought that I would say this, but I will miss the cold in queuing for tickets during Berlinale. All
Right?
this cold stuff.
Right? Yes, yes. The same here. I would never thought I would be missing it, but yeah,
Exactly.
it's also
Okay.
our part of experience, our communal
Yes,
experience.
exactly. This is our communal yearly experience to just standing in the cold
Yeah,
to
that
get tickets.
totally, totally.
Yes, and we have also some questions from our followers. that we share a question box at the 100% Manusia Instagram account, and one of the question is actually about: is it possible for Indonesian film to be sold in Europe by your
Of course,
by Emapil, of course?
of
And
course.
they want to know how.
How? Well, first of all, the film needs to have uh, global potential. I mean, as simple as that. It needs to be a film done in a way that it can be relatable all over the world. So, I mean, it cannot be like even if it's, let's say, dealing on a topic which is super local, it needs to be done in a way that a person from other side of the world will still be able to relate. So that's on the content level. On the practical level, I mean, unless if we don't meet at a co-production market or other film festival, then shoot us an email. Our website is super easy, m-appeal.com. In the part about us, there are contacts to me and all of my colleagues. Shoot us an email and tell us about the project, and we'll take it from there. We probably will not respond within 10 minutes because we can be quite overwhelmed with messages, but we'll get back.
So people can basically contact you in your website.
Yes, as well, of course.
Great. So it's actually m-appeal.com, right?
m-appeal.com. That's it. Yeah.
Yes, m-appeal.com, and they can contact you there to get to know how they can basically submit their films if they wanted to be sell under your representative as part of your
I believe
representative.
it's if we're talking about a project that we don't know, we don't have any working relationship, I would say it would be super difficult for us to enter collaboration on the script level. It would be like, yes, let's get to know each other. I know that you're working on this. Let's stay in touch. But I don't think so. There would be any commitment from us on such an early stage if we don't have a working relationship. But
so basically,
if there is already a project already shot, if you can already show us something, then it gives us a better idea of what we're talking about.
All right, so they can basically get to the first space to get to know you guys by contacting you to via your website.
Exactly, as simple as that.
Yes, as simple as that. And then let everything roll, probably a project or probably something that you guys can do, right?
Exactly, it's a process. It's a process. Like acquiring film never happens overnight. It's months, sometimes even years of contact back and forth. And we like to be involved in the creation of the film. We very often give feedback on the rough cut, for instance.
Okay, all right. Okay, so there's another questions actually. In the pandemic times like this, what kind of human rights films that you have been watching so far? Like maybe a lot other issues that probably emerge from this strange time?
That's a good question. Probably my colleague who is doing acquisition, he would be the better person to answer this question because he is the one watching constantly the new titles coming up. But on my, I cannot say that I've already seen films, but I'm pretty sure, that's like my personal feeling, that I'm pretty sure soon we're gonna see more films dealing about simply the experience of a pandemic, of lockdown, of being withdrawn from the society. There are already titles that I saw launched on the big platforms, which are dealing with simply with the experience of a lockdown, and those popped up very quickly. Um, like the films made pretty much out of the conversations on Zoom, for instance. But when it comes to
Oh,
they're like that. But when it comes to human rights topics, I mean, we're gonna see this. I cannot really answer now. I don't know. I think it's a little bit too early. Also, we probably need to. This needs to resonate a little bit more with the authors, and maybe next year we're gonna see what comes out of that experience.
I see. Yeah, that's true. Especially after people are allowed to do more of film production, not only
Exactly.
within the limitation, yes, of the new
Exactly.
normal. I'm just curious and wondering also how this new normal applies to all the film production all around the world. That
Right.
that would be interesting to know.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah. Okay. And there's this last questions actually from our follower is that what is the hardest titles to be sold from your experience?
Um. Well, technically, the titles we have should not be hard to sell because it would mean that we did some bad work at acquiring. You know what I mean? So if it
Yes.
turns out it's a hard sell, it's like, oh, we misjudged. But um, but hard to sell. Hmm.
Maybe
Well,
like what you mentioned before, like there are titles that work in one country, but there are titles that not work in others. Probably something like that.
exactly, but this is something exactly some specific topics that, for cultural reasons, for instance, resonates super strongly in one part of the world, and then the other part of the world is completely like it's irrelevant for them. So, for instance, a situation like that. Then films which are well, heavy films. I mean, heavy that the ones that are not really accessible, and then they did not start on a big festival. Because sure, if you have a heavy film, but it went to Cannes main competition, it will be easier to sell it because it already have this proof of quality, right? So if we have a film that is about a tough topic and for some other reason it didn't manage to be launched on a big film festival, this could be a challenge.
Okay.
Hmm.
Wait.
You
Apparently,
change your camera. I
yes.
see. Oh, got it.
I think I was just like, okay. Sorry about that. So yeah.
No
So
worries.
basically, films. So yeah. As you said, it will be so hard to actually say about which titles that had to be sold. Then it means that you didn't go, you didn't do something,
Exactly.
some kind of assessment first. But I think, yeah, probably the what the followers what they were asking you is about maybe the one that you have already explained as well. Like some titles could work for some society and some doesn't, but
Yeah.
also the exposure of the films itself.
Yes.
If they get more visibility in the world, then it's probably more easier also to
To
sell
sell
it.
it. Totally. Totally. Exactly. Exactly. I'm just thinking about any other well, no specific example comes to my head now, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes what we've noticed, what it's very tricky to sell if it's a
Mm-hmm.
mix of a genre. If it's a film that is, let's say, a thriller, but at the same time with elements of a comedy. This can be very tricky
Ah,
because if it contains two genres, then sometimes it
yeah.
can be, then the target audience is it's not so clear. Because, for instance, it can be not thriller enough for thriller fans, and then not
Right.
funny enough for comedy fans. Do you know what I mean? So, so if it's a mix
Yes.
of genres, it needs to be. It's a very tricky situation to be in because it needs to
Yes.
be really, really well balanced. Because then it means you have a product that can technically appear to two different target groups, but you just need to
Mm-hmm.
make sure it really still appeals to both of them instead of not being interesting enough to both of them. So
Mm.
that's what we said. So that's an advice for filmmakers. If you're doing a comedy, but you want to have also elements of other genre, think twice. It needs to be really, really well done to work.
Okay. So usually the one that have mixed genre, it will face more challenges. The film that have
Yes,
those compared to other films that is actually already set within a specific genre, right?
exactly. Pretty much because this is how market works. Still, of course, the content counts, but then there are festivals which focus on genre or on a topic,
Yeah.
and buyers
Yeah.
who focus in some way. And if you have a product that it's somewhere in between the categories, then
Mm-hmm.
it's more work. We need to put more work into it.
I see. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's interesting actually. Yeah, because I thought that the more genre that you have in one film, probably it's more easier to sell. But you said
But
before
if
that
it's one,
apparently it has.
yes, it
Yes,
needs to be like if
that's
it's
it.
a gore film, great. But if you also want to make a gore film which is a comedy, mm, it's tricky. It can work really well, but it can be tricky because yeah, you just need to make sure it's balanced in a very good way.
Okay. All right. So maybe one last recommendation of human rights films that we should watch. It doesn't have to be from Emma Pill. That's probably your favorite one.
Oh my. Guys, there's so much now going on. For the recommendations, poof,
Yes.
you know it is like I don't know if you have it, like because we're watching so many films, and then when somebody asks you for recommendation, my mind is usually going blank. I'm sorry, I cannot pull out the title like that. It's like because there's so many of them. Um, I mean, okay, I will go the easy way. I will go the easy way. I can just recommend everybody to watch August, at the next edition of your festival, which is our Cuban title. And what else? And No Hard Feelings is hopefully something that next year we're gonna work on something together. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I would really love to screen No Hard Feelings here, but I think we have already informed you that it's going to be so hard to screen it
Yes,
online here with all the
exactly.
limitation that this
Exactly. That's but
country
so we
has.
have time. We have time. We're doing it next year. We'll do it.
But
Yeah.
you
Hope.
mentioned that it's going to have the Southeast Asia premiere soon, right? The
Yes.
film
Yes. It will be um in
in Busan
Singapore.
or no? Oh, in
Singapore.
Singapore.
Singapore. It will be it's not really a festival. It's Asian Film Archive.
Ah,
They are doing
yeah.
showcases. They're doing showcases of films, and they will be screening it in December with as a physical event. And following for that, there will be also like a short, I think, online presence as well. But let's wait for the official information. But it will
Right.
be, it will the premiere will be there.
Okay, yes. We have also an Instagram live, I think, with the National Film Archive in Singapore. So that's really great if the film can actually be uh,
Yeah,
and having a Southeast Asian premiere there. That's really
yeah,
cool. And
exactly.
yeah, so Magda, thank you so much for your time.
Putri, thank you very much for inviting. Thank you for your time. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Yes, me too. It is really has been an interesting conversation and very. It's good. It's like I'm meeting you in Berlin.
Exactly. At least we have this. At least we have this.
Yeah, at least we have this, and hopefully we can meet physically again somehow.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. All my best for the festival now. I hope it will be unusual but a great edition.
Yes, I we hope so too. Thank you so much for your kind wishes. We will let you know and update you about the festival soon.
Very good. Have a good rest of the day. No, night actually, evening. Have a good evening. Right.
Yeah, that's it. It's already evening now. Yes, and enjoy your Sunday. And thank you so much for spending
Thank
your
you.
Sunday where you usually have your days off. But thank you so much for talking about this. This really has been insightful for us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And we keep in touch.
Yes, for sure. We keep in touch. Thank you so much, Magda. Enjoy your
Thank
Sunday.
you. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye bye. So, yes, that was our very insightful conversation with Magda from the M Appeal. M Appeal is one of the film sales in Europe that focus on specific issues, especially human rights issue. And as she mentioned before, there was also like an Indonesian film. It's actually filmed by Molly Surya. I think the producer just already joined us. Faujan, hi Faujan. The film is called What They Don't Talk About When They Talk About Love. It was also represented by them. So yes, there's a possibility of Indonesian film to be sold and to be represented abroad internationally. And what you can do, like Magda said before, you can contact them at the mappeal.com, m-appeal, appeal.com, and you can make the first contact with them there. And hopefully you can get involved into a nice relationship that what we, 100% Manusia Film Festival, has been shared the whole years with them. So thank you for joining us at 100% Stay at Home. And stay tuned for the next week, 100% Stay at Home in 100, no, in 100% Human Film Festival, or in Indonesia, 100% Manusia Film Festival. And please be aware that we are going to announce our festival date soon by next week. So keep following us and save the date. My name is Putri. I am the head of film programming in 100% Manusia Film Festival. I'm signing out now, and thank you so much for your participation. Stay safe, stay sane, and enjoy your Sunday. Bye bye.